Yes, this is now tarot lesson number 160. And I did this a few minutes ago, but the camera didn't work. And I find if I do something a second time, half of me is trying to remember what I said the last time. And so I can get kind of mixed up. So I'll try not to let that happen this time. So today, this is part 1 of 2, because somebody, I think in Italy, asked how to go about, let's say somebody wants to know whether they want to move house. Do they stay in their location or in their area, or do they move to the country, and when will they move? And so I'm going to do a Tableau spread with three rows of 5 cards, and I'll show you how we might go about answering those particular questions. Before that, somebody left a question about significator card. And so what do you do if you want a significator? You choose a card at random and you don't get a court card. And I think any card can represent a person, a situation, or a condition. It doesn't have to be a court card. I may as well tell you this, and if you know me, then you know I like people to choose a number between 1 and 9 and tell me which number, and I pick a number between 0 and 22, and that tells me another major trump that's important. So let's say the person chooses 5 and 14. So the person at that moment is represented by the Hierophant and the Temperance card. And you can put together a story or get an idea of what kind of shape they're in at the moment of asking the question, and for a bit into the future, based on the 2 numbers that they choose. So with the Hierophant, either it's time to go back to school, or they know a lot, the Hierophant, and pass it on to other people. And it can be an indication of what they want to do. This is partly because I think that anybody at any time knows within themselves what they ought to do. And so you're sort of telling yourself what to do via the 2 numbers that you choose. So with the Hierophant is teaching and learning and education, and maybe it's religion as well, that you need a philosophy. You need to, you would benefit from looking at the religion you were taught and maybe figure out what's good about it, what you can take from it. Because the Temperance card represents alchemy and change and mixing different ingredients together into something that's good or manageable or tasty or enjoyable in some way. So this can be the questioner there. It's time for them to begin to put their life together in different areas and maybe find an overall path to travel represented by the Hierophant. So it's time for a change, and let yourself be guided by not particularly organized religion, because it's got a lot wrong with it, but be guided by higher knowledge or by wisdom or by the truth, whatever the truth might be. So that's what I would do. And so if when I look at these 2 cards, it gives me an idea of the kind of person I'm dealing with, or the kind of ideas that the person's got at the moment. And so I'll give you another. I'm remembering what I just finished doing. So whereas if you pick a card at random and we get, no, I don't want another major trump. That's the Devil, the High Priestess. I can't get away from these major trumps. The Hermit. Okay, the 10 of Batons reversed. Okay, so let's say we pick a card for the Significator and we get the 10 of Batons reversed. So that tells you, or it gives you a starting point for understanding what the person's like at the moment or what their preferences are. So 10 is 1 plus nothing, gets you back to 1 again. So it's the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new one, but it's upside down. Either they want to begin a new cycle, but they don't know where or how because the card is upside down, or else they don't want to begin a new cycle and they just want to keep doing what they've been doing, and it's a bad idea. Or they would be better off with making a fresh start. So that's that. It gives you an idea of how the person's going to respond. So if you get the 10 of Cups, for instance, coming up, somebody represented by the 10 of Batons reversed as a significator, they're going to look at the 10 of Cups and not be that pleased because somebody else represented by a more positive, the 3 of Pentacles, okay, which is a card of expertise and you're standing on a bench and you've got ability, you've got confidence, and you're waiting for instructions, but you can also give yourself good instructions. So this person, represented by the 3 of Pentacles, is going to respond better to the 10 of Cups, and they see it as a new beginning, as opportunity, and people getting along with each other. Whereas the 10 of Batons upside down is more likely to not take, or to look in the dark side, or to think, okay, well, it has been good, the relationship has been good, but it's not going to continue. So it's more like seeing what can go wrong with the 10 of Cups, whereas this person would see what can go right with the 10 of Cups. And it gives you, if you choose a card at random and you get a card like this, it gives you an idea of how the person thinks at the moment, or how optimistic they are, how confident they are. And so somebody who is confident, if you get, I'm looking for the 8 of Swords, right? So the 8 of Swords is restriction, and you're stuck. So somebody represented by the 10 of Batons reversed, if the 8 of Swords comes up, they're going to think, well, that's just typical, that's just my luck, that I would get stuck. Whereas this person with the 3 of Pentacles would look at the same card, and not that they're stuck. Okay, they're maybe limited at the moment in what they can do, but they're going to figure out a way to expand, or they're going to figure out a way how they can maybe get other people to help them to get out of that situation, or they're going to help other people who are in that situation to get out of it, because you get 2 people here and 1 person here. So choosing a card at random for a significator will give you a correct, I think, starting point for understanding what the person is like and what they're about and how they're going to respond to what you tell them. So I hope that is a good enough explanation for the significator. The other thing is the person in Italy, I think it's in Italy, they want you to know, let's say somebody wants to move, and they want to know whether they should stay in the city or stay in the area where they are, whether they should move outside the city, and also when. So, before that, somebody a while ago asked about whether their new manager was going to micromanage them or not, or whether they were going to be more understanding and let people get on with the job. And the card I got was the 4 of Pentacles. So you can look at that and think, what does that mean? It seemed to me the new manager is going to be okay, because we've got 1 coin up here, 1 here, and 2 down here, as if the 2 people, so as if the manager knows how to delegate. So they know that some tasks and some kind of projects belong in this level. Some belong here and some belong down below, with different kinds of people or different levels of management. And so because you've got, it's a bit like the old expression, a place for everything and everything in its place. As if this person appreciates that if it's a manager, managers have to manage. If it's somebody in a mid-level position, they have to do what they have to do and behave the way they behave. Whereas if it's somebody, let's say, on the shop floor, they have to do what they have to do, and they're not particularly involved with management decisions. So I think this manager is going to be good because they know how to delegate. And I'd never thought of that before with this particular card as being a card of delegating or delegating. So what you do is, with the idea in mind of, are you going to stay put or are you going to move to the countryside? You take any card, and we've got the Ace of Swords, and that shows it's not showing movement or change. It's a new beginning. So if staying in the location where you are would be like a new beginning for you, stay where you are. If moving to another part of town would be like the same old stuff that you've been through and you don't like it, then you move to the country. Another card would, the Six of Swords shows movement. So yes, go to the country, move a distance, because the card shows movement. And so you're not looking at the card as being somebody's going to rescue you, maybe or a typical meaning. You're looking to see what's going on in the picture, and in the light of what the picture shows, you're figuring out, do you stay put or do you move? And with the Six of Swords, move a distance to in this case, to the countryside. And you go through the whole deck with the Two of Batons. There's somebody standing still. So stay in your area where you are at the moment. You can look at what's going on around you in the countryside or at a distance, and maybe see what you would do a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 2 months from now, because there's two batons. But at the moment, it looks like stay where you are, and you're going to be happier because the card is upright. Whereas if it's upside down, then you're not going to be happy staying where you are, because you're always going to be looking at a distance. There is an expression, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And that's what you're kind of dealing with this particular card. Actually, I mentioned that in the video that didn't record, and I mentioned about how it's not true that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. The grass is always greener where you water it. So what are you focused on? If you're focused on it's going to be better over there, then you're not going to be happy where you are. Whereas if you can focus on how can I be happy right here, right now, then you'll be happy right here, right now. Then you can move to the country later if you want. What have I got here? Five of Pentacles. That shows people moving. They're moving, but maybe we take it that, yes, move to the countryside, but because of the picture on the card, it may end up being not as good as you thought it was going to be. So maybe what you do is, if you're signing a lease or you're buying a place, make sure that it really suits you. Don't get yourself involved in and committed to something that's going to last for 5 years. So maybe move to the countryside, but be flexible as well, as much as you can, so that if you find that you move to the east of the city and you wish 6 months from now you'd move to the west, you're able to move to the west because you're not tied in to a situation for multiple years. Because what we're going to do in part 2, which is next time, is choose a significator card for the people asking the question. So let's say we've got the Nine of Batons as a significator, and there will be cards, 5 in each, 5 here, 3, 4, 5, and then another 5 up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the whole spread, and depending on what cards here are here, we're going to figure out, let's say we've got the Seven of Swords here above it. So that's a significator. If the card above it and right next to it, it shows somebody moving away, move to the countryside. Here, though, we've got they're moving away, but they're looking back. So it's a bit like you're going to move, you want to move to the countryside, but you're going to be looking back to where you've been for a while. So do you make sure you really want to go to the countryside? Because you can find that you get there and you wish you hadn't moved in the first place. But if we look around at the other cards that are round about here, King of Pentacles, it means that we can then look at this card for the significator, and then depending on the cards that come up here, around, above the significator and beside the significator, what have we got? The Seven of Batons and the Nine of Cups. So next time we'll look at the card here, and we'll do the cards beside it to get an idea of what kind of situation the person's in at the moment. But should they move? Okay, they're going to move. Are they going to move to the countryside? So do we find more than one indication of movement? And we've got the Knight upright for movement and the Knight reverse for lack of movement. So these sort of cancel each other out. So we've got one for movement, and then we've got the eight. Let's say we've got the Eight of Pentacles upright and the Nine of Swords and the King. So here we've got somebody sitting still. That's not moving to the countryside. Here we've got the Nine of Swords. That's sitting still, not moving to the countryside. So you begin to get an idea from the cards that come up, the pictures on the cards, of what's in the cards, so to speak, for the questioner. Are they going to move? Is it a good idea to move? And if they're going to move, where are they going to go? And it looks here like somehow there is no solution for them at this moment, maybe because they're represented by the Nine of Batons. So they could move to the countryside, but they wish they hadn't. And if they move to the countryside, they're going to wish they'd stayed put. And the idea to move is 50-50. Yes, let's move. No, let's not move. And it can be because you've got the Nine of Batons here showing somebody who's been wounded. So maybe look at why you want to move in the first place. Do you want to move away, to get away from where you are right now? Because you're injured, you're weak, you're tired of the environment and the people there. You think that moving to a new part of the country, a new part of the city is going to solve the problems, but it's not. So instead of thinking that if you go somewhere else, everything will be better, it doesn't work like that. So figure out what you can do where you are right now to make your life better. And once your life is better right here, then you'll find it's going to be miles better if you decide to move. Close by or a distance away, either will work, but it depends on you and your attitude in the beginning. That needs to change. So the person can want to know should they move or not, but you might end up telling them it's too soon to move anywhere. And maybe they were expecting that. Maybe they knew deep down, but maybe they weren't. But all you can do, I think, is turn cards at random or choose cards at random, turn them over and look at them and put together a story based on the images shown on the particular card, the different ideas. So we've got the King of Pentacles showing you can afford it because it's money and it's upright. And the Eight of Pentacles, you can afford it, is up here. But have we got Pentacles upside down? No, but we've got, it kind of looks okay because we get the Ace of Batons, the World, King of Swords, King of Pentacles, the Wish card upright, Justice is upright. So it's kind of a mixture of things looking good, but the Hanged Man being there, hold off, making a complete decision or a long-term commitment right now because we've got the Hanged Man and you've also got the Tower reversed. So things are going to change in a way that you don't like because it's the Tower. We're not saying it's going to be disaster and it's all going to fall apart, but you're saying there's going to be a change in a way that you don't like, which is maybe a more mild and less dramatic way of saying the Tower reversed. But because we know the person is represented by the 9 of batons and they're bandaged around their head, they may be feeling vulnerable. Whereas if we had got the Sun card, if I can find it here, there's the Sun. If the Significator had been the Sun card, you can say it's all going to fall apart, but you'll be able to put it all back together again. Because the person represented by the Sun can handle harsh reality more easily and more readily than can the person represented by the 9 of batons. So that was something, and next time I'll see what we can do about an actual layout. But the other thing to mention, let me look at the time. Okay. Time. So when it comes to time, you explain to the person that you can give them a date or a time period, but it can all change depending on them. So that if you, because going back to that idea about the grass is always green on the other side of the fence, if you're unhappy and miserable and you think a move is going to make it all better, it's not. You're going to take the difficulties with you to the new location. So what you do is you focus on getting yourself together right here, right now. Then when you move, it's all going to be okay. You're going to take the goodness with you to the new location. So you can say to the person, okay, we want to know, will the person move within 1 month? There's another method I'll tell you next time. Are they going to move within 1 month? And you pick a card and you turn it and you get the 10 of Pentacles upside down, which means no, they're not going to move within the next month. And you could look at the card itself and think, it's 10, it's too soon for a new beginning. With Pentacles as money, you can't afford it, or think something's going to happen unexpectedly that will mean you haven't got as much money as you thought you had. Or maybe you're in a house at the moment and you want to sell it, and the money you get from selling your house is going to be used to buy a new place. But with the 10 of Pentacles upside down, you're not going to be able to sell the house in the next month. So you're not going to have the money to buy the new place that you want. So then within 2 months, and we get the 3 of Swords reversed, you're not going to do it within 2 months either, and you're going to be disappointed and unhappy about it, and you're going to feel crushed because it's just your heart has got 3 swords through it. Are you going to move within 3 months? Or you could, yeah. And we get the 6 of Pentacles upright. So within 3 months, you'll be ready to move and you'll be able to afford it. So that the financial difficulties shown by this 10 of Pentacles will have been resolved. Either you're going to get help from somebody or a bank or a mortgage company who's going to help you out, or one way or the other, the money's going to be there for you to be able to move. Maybe the people who are going to buy your house are going to get a bridging loan, which will enable them to buy your house, which means that you've then got the money to move to the new place that you want. However, if we have the idea that if you maybe the Chariot reversed is the significator. If you've got the idea from the significator that the person needs to improve a bit or be more understanding or get their life together in some way, and they do it in a week, we're talking about 2 or 3 months. So, but within 3 months, things will be better and you'll be able to move. But with the Chariot upside down, maybe tomorrow or next week, something's going to happen and things will click into place. So you could find that I'll give you a time period. So within 3 months, things will be better. But remember that if you get yourself together next week, that's going to change the timing of it. So it could happen an awful lot quicker. But if you continue not doing what you need to do, represented by the chariot upside down. You need to make a decision. The chariot, it really is a driver, the charioteer. So if you're undecided about where you want to go, or what direction you want to move in, or how you want your life to develop, represented by the chariot reversed, the idea of moving house is going to drag its heels. Whereas if you next week have a moment of insight, or something happens and you suddenly understand your path and what you want to do, and you're more motivated to move forward and to get yourself together, that idea of the move taking 3 months can change, because you personally are different. Okay, that was it for the moment. So next time I'll look at some kind of Tableau layout. We'll choose a significator. I'll tell you a different method for figuring out the time, and then we'll look at 15 cards, 3 rows of 5, to get an idea of how we could answer the question about moving or not, and where they're going to move to. But also we could look generally at the cards that come up, and maybe put together and see how we can combine different cards or different meanings to sort of plot out a story of the future of the person asking the question. And you might, depending on who asks you for readings, you might find that a 15 card spread like that works well, because some people are good at putting together cards and telling a story, whereas other people might prefer to ask a particular question, like, what happens if I move to the country? Pick 3 cards, and based on the 3 cards, you get an idea of whether it's a good idea, whether it's a good move or not. And then what happens if I stay in my current area? You pick 3 cards, and depending on what you get an idea of whether it's a good idea to stay put. Otherwise, I'll be back in a few days. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.